What's up, YouTube? So I'm working on a Ford Escape. This is a '06 model, and I'm gonna be doing the front engine mount. And here I gotta just take off this splash guard, and it actually have bolts that holds it in. And I'm just gonna remove all these bolts. That way I could get that out of the way. Now some of these bolts could be difficult to remove, so you could actually spray it down with some penetrating oil. But I'm just gonna go ahead and try to take them out anyway. Now I just gotta make sure I take the shield off that's obstructing the mount. This one, the job could be done with just removing these 3 bolts and maybe just bending it out of the way, but for better camera angle, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the entire thing. And there actually, you could look right here and see the engine mount. So there is room to work on it. That's 1 bolt that holds the mount to the engine. And then if you go at the bottom, here are the 2 bolts that holds the mount to the frame of the car. And from the wheel well, I'm just gonna remove these 2 bolts. That way I could take that entire shield off. Now that the shield is off, much better access. I'm just spraying it down with some penetrating fluid. Get the 3 bolts that have to be removed. And I got my jack with a block of wood. I'm just gonna brace it against the oil pan. Not gonna really jack it up. I'm just gonna put it there so once I remove the engine mount, then the weight would just sit on the jack. And just gotta get this bolt. Once I got that, I move on to the next one. And once I get this one out, then I could go ahead and take the 3rd one. And all this could be done with regular hand tools. I'm just doing this with my impact just to get it done faster. And depends how difficult the bolt is. You could actually manipulate the jack by maybe just raising it just a little bit or lowering it just a little bit just to get the bolt to, you know, slide out easier. And once the last bolt's out, then you just gotta take the engine mount out. Just gotta twist it and figure out the best way to remove it. Once that's out, just match it up, the old versus new. Make sure all the bolt holes and pretty much the shape is the same. And on my old one, if you look closely, you can see there's a crack in it. The new one is nice and solid. Flip it over and see on the other side, there's a crack right here. And this moves way too easy. Now heading over to the new one, flip that over, it's nice and solid. Try to move it, it's much more difficult to move. Everything lines up, everything looks good. Now to put the new one in. And that little tab goes towards the front of the car. And if you look at the bottom, you see that little hole right there. That's where it sits right in, that little notch. The tab sits right in that notch. Now I just gotta get this in. Okay, here we go. Once that's in, just to line it up the best I can. Just enough to get the bolts in. Make sure that notch sits in that little groove. Okay, that should be close enough. So you could see I got one bolt in and I'm just threading it in by hand, maybe catch maybe 3-4 threads. Do the same for the other one. Just enough so where the engine mount I could still move it around by hand, so I could line up that third bolt. And here I got the third bolt threaded in by hand. Now the way I achieved that was I left the two bottom bolts loose and I manipulated the jack. I kind of moved the jack up and down just to get the hole to line up and keep these two bolts loose. And then what I did was just reach up with one hand, grab the engine mount and kind of rotate it to where the hole lined up, and I was able to get that bolt to slide through. Once that's in, I double check the other two at the bottom, make sure everything's in properly, and then I'll tighten them down. So now I just got to make sure everything's torqued to spec. Make sure all the shields and covers are back on. All the bolts are back in. Everything's buttoned up nice and tight. Give everything a final once over. And that's that. I just want to take this time out to say thank you to all my subscribers. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And thanks for watching all my videos. And hope you guys enjoy this one.